Miami wanted to add linebackers to this class, and they added Malik Bryant, a four-star recruit from Orlando, number 9 linebacker in the country, according to the composite rankings by 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Malik Bryant. I mean, this is a guy that kind of coast to coast was considered a top prospect in this class. I remember when those 2023 rankings debuted, he was one of the top players in it. He goes from I think he had 15 and a half sacks as a freshman at Orlando Jones, and then goes to IMG Academy as a sophomore and starts for the Ascenders. I mean, that is an incredible feat. That's a team that's always littered with insane Power 5 SEC talent. And for Bryant to go there and contribute and make a high impact as a youngster is a really, really big deal. He finishes his career off at back home at Orlando Jones, where he transitioned more into a traditional linebacker as he was more of a pass rusher when he was a little bit younger. And I think that he's someone that is, again, still kind of learning the position, but shows a lot of promise. You need the linebacker room to look a certain way, and Malik Bryant has the size, 6'2", 230 pounds. He's a thumper. He's a guy that has athleticism, that can move around. And I think if he puts it all together in terms of just kind of growing into a pure linebacker, his upside is as high as anybody else's. So really excited for Miami and this addition. They fought off Florida multiple times, who pushed constantly for Malik Bryant. Alabama was in the mix at one point. Georgia was. All these different national powerhouse programs involved, and Miami ultimately got his commitment, and that's a big deal.
I think the size stands out to me, is what you mentioned there. They've got to get bigger at that position, not just better play, but just kind of getting some more size at that spot. Again, he's going to be, working on that because of his transition with his position a little bit. He's maybe not as natural as some linebackers, but certainly a lot to like about him. His tackling ability needs to definitely be there at the next level as well as it was in high school. So we will see how he fits in, but definitely Miami wants to add bigger linebackers, and he's certainly going to get a chance to perform maybe at that spot defensively, but also I look at a guy that maybe special teams comes in and be able to carve out a role there, because I feel like special teams roles, particularly with linebackers, can be very important. Bobby Washington is bringing size, speed, and athleticism to the Miami Hurricanes as a linebacker, 4-star recruit out of Miami Palmetto.
Yeah, Bobby Washington, man. This was, I think, Miami rolling the dice earlier in the process on this linebacker prospect, and I think this is one that's going to eventually pay off for him. I think that he's as physical as they come of any of the linebackers in this group. I think, Chris, we both know that that's something that the linebacker room has been really missing over the past few seasons, is really just that physicality, that willingness to seek contact, to follow through. And I don't think I've seen anyone with more violent intentions on the football field than I have seen with Bobby Washington. I mean, some of the biggest hits I've seen at the high school level, just kind of standing on sidelines, have come from Bobby Washington. And you might have to tame that just a tiny bit. You obviously want him to be hitting that hard and doing it the right way. But I think the mentality and that killer instinct is definitely inside of him. That's something that's innate, that he's kind of he naturally has. And you talk about the size and the speed. I mean, you can't teach 6'3", 215, could be pushing 220 by now. And again, once he gets into a college strength and conditioning program, I think that he's someone that's going to look very, very different. And Bobby Washington is the way that you want a Power 5 linebacker to look, and I think you have to be very encouraged. The speed is legitimate as well. Just watching him run, he has a twin brother, Robbie Washington, who really grew up kind of a track star. I know Bobby Washington and Robbie have raced, and there are lures of how close those races actually are. And, I think Bobby can absolutely move. I think he's a high upside kid. And I think if he reaches his peak, I mean, the rewards that Miami's going to reap from that are going to be, very, very, clearly known.
Bobby's physical attributes stand out, but also talking to the coaching staff over at Palmetto, they really like his football intelligence. And I think part of that plays into the fact that they feel comfortable and confident in moving him around the defense a little bit, either a linebacker spot, maybe a rush in type spot, moving them around just to make sure they're maximizing it. And if you can grasp the defense at Miami, I think they're going to move them around, or at least have that potential, maybe on some blitz packages. But again, you want to take advantage of that speed combination with his athleticism. I think he's going to be a linebacker that can range sideline to sideline, but finishing off tackles will be the biggest thing for Bobby, for any linebacker. And from what I've seen, he definitely is going to do that. Like you mentioned, Gabby, it's impressive what he's bringing to the table. Certainly an upgrade at that spot is what they're looking for, and it looks like they got that in Bobby Washington. Miami lands three-star linebacker Marcellius Pulliam out of a good program in Sandy Creek in Georgia. Certainly Miami wants to improve the linebacker room. 6'3", 215 pounds.
Yeah, because you mentioned a good program. I mean, won a state title in Georgia. Miami finding a few of those state champs here in this class of 2023. Marcellius Pulliam, definitely one of them. And again, we talk about the size at linebacker and all those different things, the way that Miami's approached it. This recruiting cycle, 6'3", 215 pounds. And a guy that is athletic, that is going to have to continue to develop maybe the floor of the linebacker room. But again, that's a high floor, because again, you talk about the size and the range that he has. He's someone that Auburn wanted, that Louisville wanted, Georgia Tech would have liked to keep home. Miami was kind of able to sneak in the back door in the final minutes of that recruitment and come out on top for Marcellius Pulliam. And I know people around the building are really high on him. They kind of sat down, watched his film one more time before moving forward there, and decided as a staff that this is someone that we're going to roll the dice on. It's a big linebacker class, Chris. So when you look at the way that the roster is structured physically, there's just not a lot of these 6'2" plus, 215 plus guys walking around there. So I think Miami's throwing a bunch of at high upside athletic bodies at this room, and I think they're hoping that a few of them end up sticking. And I know that Pulliam has a few guys around the program that are definitely advocates for him.
That's what stands out to me. A lot of this talk about this recruiting class with this coaching staff, identifying needs, feeling like they know what they want to get, and then going out and executing. Again, you're getting quantity at the linebacker spot. Marcellius feels that. They don't look at their other linebackers that they had on board and figure like, okay, that's good enough. No, they add in Pulliam here, and he's certainly a guy, once again, with some upside. That's what you always like with guys that maybe aren't as highly regarded as other recruits, but you want to be able to see something positive, some positive traits that if it works out, if he's essentially one of these diamonds in the rough type of overlooked guys, even though, as you mentioned, other top programs did want him, that you still like those positive qualities. Again, his height speed combination, in addition to coming from that winning attitude, which I can't speak enough about, that can certainly be a positive, not just for a position group, but for the unit and for the whole team in general as you can construct this roster. What's going on, everybody? A special guest here. We got Ben Moore, covers Georgia State with Panther Talk and the 24/7 Sports Network. He has seen Miami signee Raul Aguirre, Popo, a linebacker, 4-star guy. He's seen him quite a bit, so we're going to get his thoughts on him. Ben, with him, Miami fans are excited. Miami wants to improve their linebacker group. Kind of just maybe explain your background, how much you've seen him, and maybe what kind of player is Popo here.
Sure. Get a chance to obviously cover Metro Atlanta recruiting as well, getting a lot of games all around the Metro Atlanta area. And Popo's been a really, really strong player. Has played inside linebacker, outside linebacker for his squad here in Whitewater High School, just south of the Atlanta airport, if you're familiar with Metro Atlanta there, and a loaded Wildcat squad. Even had some opportunity to kind of get out, play some on offense as well. Exceptional athlete in space. That's the number one thing that just pops out from film and obviously in person as well. Can get out there and get his hands on the ball. Could honestly have an opportunity, depending on whether he wanted to slim down. Don't think it's probably in the Miami plans, but he could be a guy that could probably play safety or even an outside linebacker, kind of safety hybrid. Is fast enough to get out in space like that. Had just everybody in their brother Power 5 looking at him. He took official visits to Ohio State and Alabama. Just impact player, probably one of the better players that I saw in the state of Georgia this year, especially on the defensive end. But really can impact the game on defense and in space, making tackles for loss, sacks. Didn't really blitz him a ton. The coaching staff just let him kind of operate in space and kind of use his natural physical ability to make plays. But on offense, they were a team that ran the triple option. He got many fullback blast plays, even caught some passes basically as a wideout as well. So extremely versatile athlete. Miami fans certainly should be very, very excited about Popo.
He was ranked as the 17th best linebacker according to 24/7 Sports rankings. Look, Miami's wanting to have better linebacker play over the last few years. It's really been a struggle for UM. Let's talk. I know you said playing in space, but against the run, where is he maybe as a tackler? That's obviously a number one job as a linebacker, but how would you kind of grade it? Anything that stands out to you with him as a tackler?
Yeah, always around the ball. That's the biggest thing that just pops out as well. But wherever the ball is, that's where he's usually flying to. He has the makeup speed and acceleration to really kind of accelerate through tackles. You see that he's very, very physical, and a guy I think too that could probably gain significant weight on the next level if that's what the coaching staff and strength and conditioning coaches would want him to do without losing a whole lot of speed. Really, really can get out in space. Kind of in between the junior and senior year, he didn't run at any of the camps. In the 40-yard dash was dealing with a little bit some lower leg injuries. Kind of moved forward with that, and you can see the step forward too from his junior year, just being a really good physical athlete, about 210, 215 pounds, to really moving and continuing to kind of evolve and feel more comfortable in his body in his senior year, and could be a guy that could play probably 230, 235 pounds at the next level and not lose a lot of speed. He continues to kind of grow and work on his body, and as we know, continue to eat better. As we know, high school guys don't tend to eat better and lift as much. But he comes from a really good program, really strong program, where they fire off linebackers that go and really attack the ball, and he fit right in with that, and super comfortable to stick his nose in there and go after anybody, whether it's the quarterback or any ball carriers.